to be wealthy? Do you want to be in control of your finances? Do you feel like you mostly get financial advice from people who are trying to sell you a bank's products? If your answer is yes to any of these questions, then stay tuned because you are at the right place. Welcome to Money Convos, a club committed to helping people achieve financial freedom by providing education and guidance on personal finance and investments. We have a group of experts who share their knowledge and give practical advice with no strings attached. At Money Convos, we have candid, mature conversations about wealth, how to create it, grow it, and protect it. We share our experience and encourage our audience to share theirs and ask questions. Join us every Thursday on Clubhouse at 7 p.m. GMT. We also have book discussions that bring out practical lessons. So far, we have read Dumb Things Smart People Do With Their Money, The Richest Man in Babylon, and The Millionaire Next Door. Most importantly, we have one-on-one financial coaching sessions where we guide individuals through setting financial goals, retirement planning, budgeting, investments, risk management, and so many more areas. The goal is to get you to financial independence from whatever income level you're at. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, and Clubhouse. The handle is at moneyconvosgh, or send us an email at moneyconvosgh@gmail.com so we get you started on your journey to financial freedom. Now that you're all caught up, let's head into our next conversation.
Hi everyone. Hi Jennifer, how you doing?
Hi Elikem, I'm doing well, thank you, and you?
I'm great. So today we are having a conversation about a new book, and it is The Famous Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I read this book first when I was in level 100. So that was in, I think, 2011 or 2012. I think it's more like early 2012. Jenny, how about you? Have you read this book before this session, this time that we are reading it?
Before this, yes, I read it when I was in
Yes.
SHS. So,
Okay.
yeah, I had
Which year was that?
I don't think I remember, but I remember how I got the book. So I used to
Okay.
go for vacation in my mother's boss's house. His daughter and I were in the same level in Wesley Girls, so I used to go there for vacation. And her elder brother was a medical student at that time, and he used to leave books lying around. He was a proper nerd. So yeah, it was one of the books lying around, and then I read it, and I really, really enjoyed the book then. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, for me, I heard about the book in when I was in level 100. I think either a lecturer mentioned it or somebody must have mentioned it. So I searched for it and I found a hard copy. I think it must have been at home for some weird reason. No, actually, I was looking for books to read and I saw it in a bookshelf at home. Yes,
Okay.
I think because I didn't struggle to find it. Yes, and I read it and it changed my mindset. So I spent the second year of university trying to be an entrepreneur, all because of that book. I think I got only one A that whole year, but
Because you got a lot of experience.
yeah, I'm sure Rich Dad will be proud of me because
Yeah.
there are some places in Accra that to this day, when I pass there, I remember the kind of business that took me to that place, the nooks and crannies, the people I met. Ah man, it was time well spent. Like I was set on the path to blow through all my savings. So then, but it got me doing a whole lot of businesses. There was a time when I bought a TV to rent out. First, it started with helping a friend set up a business that was we called it internship solutions. So we helped people, we helped students find internships. Back then, internships were not so popular. You know, I did my first internship at first year in scholarship secretariat, a government institution, and I remember that one of the people we only successfully placed one person, and that was a friend of ours, Abigail. She's currently in Goldman Sachs, and we placed her in the Canadian International High School in Airport, and the principal was my neighbor. So all networking, right? My
So one
neighbor,
rate
and
networking.
yeah, she had come from Canada. She was living in Canada, but she came to Canada to be the principal of the school. And when after like after the first few days of working there, my neighbor was full of praise. See, it boosted the respect my neighbor had for me, because we had gone to many organizations, many numerous
Mm,
organizations, handing out proposals and whatnot. But finally, it's just next door who eventually took me. Of course, I went to her office to go and do all that, and she was so impressed at the way Abigail worked. It's not surprising to know where Abigail is right now. She's doing very well. And Abigail also went to Wesley Girls, the same
I
school
know
we went
her.
to.
Yeah.
She's in yeah. She's in Goldman Sachs now. And
Mm,
she's doing amazing. Like, at least I'm glad to have had that experience. It exposed me to a lot of people, got a lot of feedback about things I did. Well, man, the places I went. You know what? Enough about me ranting on and on about the effects of this book. But so many businesses I tried and failed, and many businesses I helped people out with because of this book. So I owe a lot to this book. I must admit, reading it again, I've had a new appreciation. I've just read not the entire book, but just starting to read it. I have a whole new appreciation for it. There are certain parts of it that I disagree with. I don't dispute that. But reading it 11 years, 10, 11 years later, it's a good thing to come back to update my beliefs. How about you? Any new perspectives as you are reading it?
So it is reinforcing certain things that I picked up, and I don't know exactly where I picked them from. Like instant delaying gratification. I don't know. I've always had it at the back of my mind that instant gratification isn't going to help you. You have to delay gratification. But then I was wondering, where did I pick it up from? But then it's reminding me introduction, and then even the first chapter is reminding me that probably this is where it started taking root. That it's not good to let your emotions just carry you on the whims. Let's just spend our money and all of that. You need to be able to delay gratification for a bit and then like live according to let's say a plan or something. And another thing that is like really mesmerizing me in the book was when he said that he wanted to show them how the real world is, and he decided to pay them something very meager. And then the so we'll get to the book later, but then I just want to give you a gist. And he was really outraged. Robert was really outraged, and even his father was outraged. Like, if he doesn't increase your salary, quit. And then he was like, I knew this was going to happen, and this is what is going on in the real world, the food that you're seeing. And it's true, like a lot of people we are all going through that. So it really like brings it home to me that these things have been going on since time immemorial. Yeah. Yeah.
I just had to note down something you said. It reminded me of a conversation I had with a friend, but we'll get back to that in a bit. It's good to see Adam in our audience, Adam Danjo. He's in our audience. So anyone who has not listened to our session on real estate to buy or build on on Clubhouse, I encourage you to go back to that replay and listen to it. He offered very good insights. And speaking of which, an easy way to access our old conversations is coming up soon. We are working on the website, it's under review, so you'll be hearing from us very soon on where you can go for all things Money Convos. All right, so let's talk about the book more directly. Let's start with the introduction, right? Let's contrast Rich Dad with Poor Dad.
God.
The it's when I first heard about it, I thought, oh, maybe he had two fathers in the sense that
Mm,
a stepfather and whatnot, right?
I
But
mean,
just shows
biological
you that it shows you that some people can be um, can play an important role in your life, and they may not be your real father, but they'll play a role like a father role. Huh. It's interesting turn of events, right? And I'm able to say this today because I went to the office, working from home most of the time, but I went to the office today for a few meetings. And when I was stepping out of the office for my meetings, I received a call from someone I knew as my godfather. When I was entering university, in fact, he told me to follow, to go and do BSc admin in University of Ghana. I wanted to do law first now. Then he led me to the business path. And it's just funny that he was in the area of my office. And I turned around, I was like, oh, don't bother. I was like, the kind of help this man has given me in the past, Charlie, if he calls, it's worth it to turn around and come back. So, father figures. Well, I don't say just father figures, parental figures. Mother's Day is coming too. So, in as much as we are talking about poor dad, rich dad, poor dad, it's not just father figures. They're also mother figures who are very relevant in our lives. Jenny, do you have any such figure? Any um, yeah, any figure, male or female, in your life who has been influential?
Oh yeah, and I think very growing up, even when I was very little, my mom was in a group called Aglo.
Mm,
So it was sort of an interdenominational women's fellowship. And so Isinyana was a very small town, so all walks of women who were like a little bougie for our town were there. And every time somebody was in your matter, telling you how somebody was doing this, somebody was, and that's even how I saw somebody's daughter go to Wesley Girls, and I said that, oh, from the way the lady was talking, her behavior and mannerisms, I was also going to go to that school. So I've had a lot of influences getting me. And even when I grew up too, I think even in my workplace, my boss is a very, very big to me like that. And as I said, my mother's boss, where I went and I saw this book lying around, he too has been very, very influential in my life. And it's really good because it's not like I even went looking for these people. They just crisscross your path as you are going on. So I think it's good to get out of your bubble and then interact with people sometimes. Yeah.
exactly. Big ups to everyone who has been an influence in other people's lives.
Mm.
It's a very good thing. Okay, Jenny, I see a question in the audience in the comments for you. Okay,
Yes, I did. I think
yeah.
we'd hashed this out. Mm.
Okay, so rich dad versus poor dad. I'll just take some comparisons from what the book was saying. The poor dad was saying that the rich should pay more in taxes, and the rich dad was saying that taxes reward those who produce. So if you tax more, you are going to discourage people. But I just to read some quotes from the book, right? It says both men were strong, charismatic, and influential. Both men offered me advice, but they did not advise the same things.
Yeah.
Said both men believed strongly in education, but did not recommend the same course of study. I found that very important. Like there are a lot of traits that they had, but they diverged at a certain point.
Yeah.
Speaking of divergence, I love that poem that the book referred to, the road not taken. Nice
Okay.
poem. If you've not read it before, please go and read it. Another point of difference from the book was the problem was that the rich man was not rich yet. No, in fact, no. Before I get there, let me talk about some other differences and take your perspective before I hit that point. It said one one of the reasons the rich get richer, the poor get poorer, and the middle class struggles in debt is that the subject of money is taught at home, not in school.
In school.
Most of
Yeah.
us learn about money from our parents. So, what can poor parents tell their child about money? They simply say, stay in
Learn.
school and
Yeah.
study hard.
Yeah.
The child may graduate with excellent grades, but with a poor person's financial programming and mindset. Jenny, what do you think?
This is absolutely true. So I hold a belief that you you can move up classes, like you can move from lower to middle to upper, by one, through education. I really believe in the power of education to move you through classes. But then it can only do so much. When you get there, you have to be able to stay there. And it takes more than learning and applying what you know to be able to keep your financial knowledge and apply it. And that's, I think, even what we've learned from all the para books that we've read, even the one that Millionaire Next Door. Yeah, it takes more than what it took you to get there to stay there. So I think it is good that we preach the learn hard and all of that. But we need to be able to teach our kids or the people that are under our care more than we know. And it's not too bad to say that, oh, my money habits and my beliefs have brought me this far. But as my child, I want you to be able to go beyond me. I've seen this person who I think is currently beyond me, when it comes to my income level, when it comes to everything. And so go and learn from the person. I think as parents, we need to be able to take, like, do that and not just be passing down all the things that we know to our kids, which will mostly include, from poor people, will just be, oh, save, put some susu box with them, be saving. You will save and save and save, and before you realize you are not investing, and then you are only saving. And in 15 years' time, it's only the money that you save, the nominal amount that you have, and a lot of factors would have gone around it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very important. Like the book you referred to where we started, what it takes to become rich is different from what it takes to stay rich or wealthy. But let me use that term, wealthy. To stay wealthy and grow your wealth, it's a whole different ball game. So you need to learn both. In fact, you need to learn all these things. I hope that one day, through Money Convos, we can advocate for money to be taught in school. I don't get why it's not taught in school, but it's some of the most basic things. Even me, that I did finance in school, I guess, yeah, part of that finance, it was more professional,
Yeah.
more made you to ready for working per se. Someone can be a loan officer and can write a good loan document, can assess the risk, blah blah blah. But what are the chances that this person can actually manage their personal finances? It's a whole different ball game. So for that, I think that's where we need people to start thinking about personal finance. So hopefully, Money Convos can help people achieve that. And we are trying to do those with these book reviews that we do, these conversations we have on Thursdays, right? Okay. Now, this is something we use the term rich dad versus poor dad, but this is something I don't recall knowing when I first read the book. The fact that they weren't yet rich. Maybe I must have known it when I read it, but I forgot about it. So whenever I think about the book, I don't think about it in that context. But at the time when he was taking the lessons, the rich dad wasn't yet rich.
So
Jenny,
I, I
do you remember that?
so I think he wasn't outwardly rich, but he had assets. Because even the first day that they went to meet him, and then he was telling them about, like, and Mike was telling Robert about the fact that his dad was very busy. He was like, oh, somebody from this business, restaurants, deben, were all there to speak to him. So the man was very busy. So he had, I think his modus operandi at the beginning was probably plowing back and not looking like the wealth he had. So I think he had money, but then he didn't look it so much that people thought, if he's not having a house, a vacation home in Malibu, if he's not going there with driving this and that, then he didn't have that much wealth. And also last the second meeting, when Robert went to him, that and was very indignant that I've been working for you for 3 weeks, you haven't paid me and everything. When he was
Mhm.
trying to explain, he said that I probably make more than your dad, and it has already been established that Robert's dad makes quite an amount of money. Just that his bills
Mhm.
are so much that take home and net is not so much to write home about. So yeah, I think he was carried away, but he didn't wear it. Yeah.
Okay, great, great, great. And like you said too, poor dad was not necessarily poor. Like you wouldn't see him and think he was poor. He went to some of the best schools, had
He went to
had a
Stanford.
PhD and
Yeah.
whatnot. What I say, Stanford. So yeah, he wasn't yet poor at the time. But like you said, rising bills, debts, Charlie, it was only a matter of time, right? So it's good he had a good sense to know who to listen to right
Yeah.
off the bat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I want to even say something.
Mhm.
In as much as he did, like, going in through the book, he didn't really learn much from Poor Dad. I really like the way Poor Dad set him up on this whole trajectory. When he went
Mhm.
there, he was like, I want to make money. And then he was like, think, come up. And I think he said this in the book that probably because the man didn't know what to say, but
Mhm.
that
Mhm.
was what led him to start doing the counterfeit money, and it didn't work out, and then they had to look for more solutions. So yeah, kudos to pointing him in the direction.
Oh yeah, and he also pointed him in the direction of Rich Dad.
Yes, yes.
He did the introduction, so
Yeah.
so there's that, Charlie. Pardon my French, but no offense, but even a broken clock is right twice a day.
Right, again. Yeah.
Hey, you gotta love that saying. Anyway, so let's get into the first lesson, or I'll read out the lessons. The book highlights six main lessons, right? And I'll just read out what those six lessons are. Lesson one: the rich don't work for money.
Nope, nope, nope.
That's the first lesson. The rich don't work for money, rather, money works for them. Two, it talks about why you should teach financial literacy. Lesson three: mind your own business. Lesson 4: the history of taxes and the power of corporations. Lesson 5: the rich invent money. Lesson 6: work to learn, don't work for money. Interesting. All right, so these are the six main lessons. He said that over the 30 year span that he was with, he learned from Rich Dad. It boiled down to these six main lessons, which he has shared with us so graciously in his book, which we paid for. But yeah, so let's jump into lesson one. The rich don't work for money. What
Funny.
readily comes to mind when you do this? When you think about this?
Okay. So what comes to mind is that they work for stuff other than money. So probably be fulfillment about something that they are doing. Um, Money is there, but then it's not the most important factor. And it didn't really come, like, if I look at the title, "The Rich Don't Work for Money," I don't get the second part of like the phrase or the clause. But then it comes up later and then it makes you think about it, that they don't work for money, their money works for them. It's almost like subject and predicate. You are changing the, yeah. So they have other means of fulfillment in the work that they do, but then when they are asleep, when they are sick, when they are chilling in Las Vegas, whatever it is that they are doing, they have a means of still getting revenue, but not from active working hours. So yeah.
Exactly. And for me too, it's there was something that I heard about when I was in primary school. At the time, it didn't really make sense to me, but I must have been in class 5 or so when I heard something. And class 5 was probably 2003, 2002, 2003, right? And someone just made a statement. I remember where I was back in that school in Jack and Jill, where I was standing when the person said it. And the person said, Bill Gates makes, was it $4 million every day? Like when he goes and sleep and goes to sleep and
Wake
wake
up.
up, makes 4 million a day. I'm like, huh, that's interesting. So like he makes money in his sleep. So at a young age,
You're really
I
what
yeah,
contemplating.
I had heard about it. May not have fully grasped it, but now in my adult life, when I started working and I started seeing some people's investments, and we are in the reporting season and you do a report for someone, and how much money did they make in a quarter? You divide it by three, see how much they made in a month.
Hmm.
Charlie, it's nowhere, it's way beyond your annual
Yeah.
salary, like the whole year what you make. And that's what they made in 1 month. And it's just because the money is there invested and it's
And
earning
it's not
them
just
return.
active, yeah, not active.
Yeah.
So whatever they are doing separately is also giving them something else.
I know some people whose investments actually make more money for them than their actual work, right? And I'm sure the people who invested in men's gold even know this way better than we do. At least those who got their money back for a
Yeah.
while.
Yeah. Mm.
Anyway, so yeah, it shows you about how money can work for you, and you just need to think efficiently, right? To getting the best results with little effort. And the lessons from this book, right? y- You would have expected that, even though this is the lesson in this chapter, you'd have expected that as they are working, they should be earning some income, right? But it's like the the rich dad was really testing them. He was pushing them to the brink, So can you shed more light on how he was testing them to realize that?
So, okay, so for the benefit of the people who haven't read this book and then are following us, I'd like to give a small background before I get into the question you asked.
Great.
So, Robert is a 9-year-old boy. He has a best friend called Mike. When it comes to appearances, they are the poorest in the school that they attend. And then some rich kids in the school are going to summer vacation and those things. And Robert is sad that they didn't invite him. So he wanted to preoccupy himself. And then he went to ask his father that, how can we become rich? And his father said that he has to make money. So he and his best friend went to do for us, and then but it was very innovative for a 9-year-old brain in 1950 something. So then they did nickel coins, and then to the astonishment of their parents and themselves, they heard that they cannot it's counterfeit, so they can't actually legally make money like mint coins. So then they had to look for another solution. So then they had a way of getting into contact with somebody who was teaching them how to work, and that was Mike's dad. And remember that Mike is Robert's best friend. Now, the man was very busy, so he told them to go and work with a lady that was in his employment, and they'll be paid 25 cents an hour for 3 hours every weekend. They were doing very well for 3 weeks until they realized that, child labor is there. Why are you paying us 25 cents an hour when you could be paying us more? So they went back to the man. The man said they can quit. Now, an interesting thing I like was when he said that when he started trying to teach them how to become wealthy, he was like, they can work for free, and he's teaching them experience. And this reminds me of when people say that, we are paying you in experience. Yes, yes, yes. So he was paying them in experience, and the people didn't bore. They went back and worked for 3 weeks. And when they came back, the man said that he could actually give them $2 instead of 25 cents, and stop teaching them. Every now and there, we are being compensated for the work that you're doing, so he can do that. But then he could continue with the 25 cents an hour, even though he knew and they knew he was shortchanging them. He will still teach them in quote unquote experience and life lessons. So he really taunted them that, oh, I can actually give you $5 and you can go. And imagine a 9-year-old thinking about, like, even like me, 9-year-old, hey, $5 for 3 hours. Jesus Christ. Yes, but they didn't take it. So, and he actually also used them for child labor, but then he gave them the path where they also started doing their own, like, um finding innovative ways to not just complain, because he knew they were going to be complaining about the fact that their bosses is short, just using them blatantly and then not giving them anything. But then they came up with very interesting ideas to veer off and not be there when the venture was making money and they still got money. So yeah, this is a very long-winded answer. I hope the gist was
Mhm.
gotten.
Yes, yes, it was right. And you know, it's just interesting how people would say that what's it called? Sometimes someone trying to teach you a lesson, they're also taking advantage of you. You know, so you have to just ask yourself
Is
in
it
the
worth
long run,
it? Are you
exactly, is
benefiting?
it worth it? So yeah, I was saying earlier that this story reminds me of a conversation I was having with a friend. So I was it was a Saturday night. I was going to pick something up from someone, from another friend. And while I was driving, I like to listen to podcasts. But I was like, oh, let me check up on this friend. At least I'm driving, so it's downtime. So I called her and we're talking. And oh, what's your plan? Well, when I get back home, I'm gonna work. I was working earlier in the day. When I get back home, I'm going to continue working. And she said, hey, you're always working. I'm like, it depends on how you define work, right? Because yes, I may be working for my company, but to me, I see it as working for myself. In the last 7 years of working, all the efforts that I've put in, well, if people would deem me an expert or call me an expert, it's because of the experience and the repeated activities, all the things that I've done that would make them want to call me such. You know, and no one can take it out of my head. You know, people will say, yeah, you should be paid well and all that. I totally agree. You should be paid well. And getting out of school, you know, look, getting paid well wasn't my agenda immediately. I wanted to learn. These days, I tell my students coming out of university that Charlie, you find somewhere that they will pay you well and teach you. There's a place they will pay you well and don't teach you, but you try and blend that thing. Ghana had small, but anyway, back to the story, right? And I told her that look, it depends on how you frame it. Else you could always complain that that thing they say in Ghana, "Ade, ejumane or papa dear, is the work for your father." Someone said it to me during national service. It's like, but you're doing only national service. And I'm like, take these people's example. They've gotten a chance to work. And that's where some people say in the US versus Ghana, they are more advanced. Young people are more advanced in their mindsets because they start working early. How often someone will go through university and they may not have in Ghana, may not never have done an internship. Their internship is actually someone was is a person in UPS or so doing accounting, and the internship is a final year course. Like you've gone 3 years already and no practical experience that the school actually encourage you to do. And they're like, just hold on, wait till you get to final year, then we'll try and find you some internship. Like, what were you doing with the other vacations? You get me? But meanwhile, somebody in a developed country or in another country is working hard to get the experience that you need. And when it comes time to find a job, you say that job no day. Meanwhile, the person gets a job easier than you. So it's really about how you see it. You may be working for free for someone, but really you are benefiting yourself. You get that experience that you need. People say, "Oh, I'm waiting for my big break." Nah, whatever chance you get, if it's a small internship that you get unpaid, whatever, figure out how you cover your transportation and your feeding, and just show up. Just show up. And I was telling a friend yesterday, just kick ass. Like, pardon my French, but just make sure that in 2 months they'll say that you are the best person they've ever worked with. And trust me, people will come looking for you. People come looking for you and you get that big money that you're looking for. And then, Jenny, like, I know this sounds like a rant, but this thing is just sending me down memory lane. And it's just interesting how 10 years after reading this book, it's just dawning on me how it's influenced some of the things I do unconsciously, knowing that. I'm not saying, oh, I do this because Rich Dad said so, but it makes sense where I feel like I'm at a point where, like, if touch would I have to lose my job, I'm not worried because I have built certain skills that make me confident that I can be out on my own and do my own thing. It won't be easy. No, it won't be easy, but I can do it. Like if anyone is equipped to do it, I'm that person. You get what I'm saying? So yeah, it comes from that place of when you are working selflessly for yourself, when you are working wholeheartedly trying to get that experience, it pays off, man. It pays off. You may not see it in the beginning, but it definitely pays off later. Yeah. Okay. Are there any other lessons you may have picked up from this first one?
Yeah. So there was, please hold on. I highlighted setting. Um,
Okay. Well, while you look out for this, what about the concept of employees grumbling or the effect of when you work for money and you put yourself into this position where you are desperate for money and it sends you on a what's that thing called, a vicious cycle, a chicken and egg situation where you are like, well, I'm not being paid well, so I don't work well. Then you're not working well, so you're not getting paid well. And it just gets you to become such a negative person, a toxic person. What's your take on that effect?
so I think we've had conversations about not this probably the same topic, but circling around something like this. And I think usually for the manager will probably also be thinking that, oh, this person is not putting in the optimum um level even at this level. So if I give him a lot more responsibility that will come with higher level of remuneration, the person will not be able to handle it. And so we are all sort of blaming each other of why you are not the employee is not progressing. But then one thing that I don't know how, probably from reading the Great Book and then the other books, if you have, let's say, a plan, for instance, with the Chinese people that get up with the aim of ancient Chinese, I mean, with the aim of their rice paddies producing the most quality rice and a lot of rice with very, very small paddies. They get up, even if the sun is scorching, even if what is happening, their aim is that the rice paddy has to produce this quantity of rice. And so they don't really care about external factors. So one thing that I think will really help all of us is just if you have a goal that, oh, here's where I want to get to. No matter the current circumstances, if you put in your best, you're not looking to stay there forever. You are looking that whatever experience that I'm garnering right now will help me be able to land where I want to get to. And that is what will like you can be your motivation for even working in a toxic environment. I know some people will say that, oh, where they are working, the business is actually very toxic. So it's not like they are the ones that are doing anything wrong. But then if you still put in your best knowing that I won't be here forever, I'm building up my resume, my experiences for something better than here, you'll still be able to put in your best here and then bide your time, something like that. And I want to share an example. Somebody sharing my office. The person is a um, high level staff, and the person was like, she was in a different company, and then they were working, and she got a big break, and then sorry, she knew she wasn't going to be there forever. She didn't even want to be management of that company, but she was just working and biding her time. And then when this break came, her people were like, hey, I be this one that you've landed here, you are sending me along. And she was like, no, I can't take you along because if I send my face that, oh, this person can come along with me, you are not going to put in the effort I am going to put in. And before you realize, they will say that I stuck out my neck for you. So no, you to do what I was doing and bide your time. The same way I got a break, you also get a break. So I think that is what will help all of us if we adopt it. Thank you.
Charlie, this last story there, it's serious. Oh. I hope a lot of people are watching this. So I know I'll have certain repercussions, but there are certain people who, when they say that I'm looking for this opportunity or that opportunity, I scratch my head and I can't find ways to help them. Or I'm hesitant to help them because, Charlie, I should take my face for this. And there are some people who, when they say, Charlie, I'm thinking of doing this, then immediately my phone is up and I can figure out who I'm going to call to help this person. Charlie, we can't dispute quality. We can't dispute what's it, someone used the term competence. You can't dispute competence, and those things come from actually putting your head down and getting the work done. And it's rarely ever gonna come from people who don't work with that kind of mindset. Granted, this work, whether you're working for yourself or working for as an employee or whatever it is, Charlie, just being on top of whatever you do is a big deal, and it rewards very well. Okay, you were going to mention some other points you picked up from the book. Have you gotten them now? Jenny, you are muted.
Sorry.
Yeah.
So Elikem says his WhatsApp status is something that on John Wick's back. Please, I would like you to read it and mention it for me.
Fortis fortuna adjuvat. Fortune favors the brave. Oh man,
Yes.
fortune
I would like
favors the brave. The brave. Mm.
I'd like to read something that Rich Dad said. So he was continuing and he said that if you are the kind of person who has no guts, you just give up every time life pushes you. If you are that kind of person, you live your whole life playing it safe, doing the right things, saving yourself for some event that never happens. Then you die a boring old man or woman. You will have lots of friends who really like you because you were such a nice, hardworking guy. But the truth is, like, you let life push you into submission. Deep down, you were terrified of taking risks. You really wanted to win, but the fear of losing was greater than the excitement of winning. Deep down, you and you only know why you didn't go for it. You chose to play it safe. So I know that certain risks are quite unhealthy, and so it's not all risks that we take. But then in this life, you need to get out of your comfort zone, try new things. Elikem, do you remember this guy Holali? I don't know if he was in your
Yes.
batch.
Yeah, Haliga.
Yes. So, oh, shout out to Holali. So one time, Holali and I were having a conversation, and he says he has done everything. He has smoked. So he's quite pro, but then he said he
Mm.
smoked weed. He does this, he does that. Not to do anything, but just to know how it is, how it feels like to have done it or to have that experience, and he's better off for it now. I haven't ever smoked weed before, and I don't know how it feels like to be high, you see. So it's a very harebrained example.
Seriously, Jennifer. Seriously.
It's a
Is
very
that the example
harebrained
you are getting?
it's a very harebrained example, but then it's you really need to step out of your comfort zone, try new things, because you will be better if the answer is yes. You have a new experience. If it is no, it will not kill you. No. So you really need to be able to take more risks than what like than just sitting there and then going back and forth and no. And one thing that I think my mother used to say was you would just, let's say if you are working, you get up in the morning, you go to work, you come back home, before you realize you are probably in the same position you were in, and you are there. 15 years has come, you are there. You are not taking in the time to, oh, let me wake up 1 hour before time and read 1 hour for 1 hour. When I come back home, let me just read one for 1 hour. You are not doing all of that. Before you realize, life would have happened, and then you will still be where you are. So it's really good that at least, even if it's 30 minutes, get out of your normal daily routine. I think the dividends will pay up, and then you'll be better off for it. Thank you. you
Charlie.
it may be make you high, but you never know. Elikem, don't.
There are some things I take risks, but there are some things that there's somewhere I would have to draw the line, right?
Yeah.
I it, taking risks, the comfort zone. Some I've heard a saying. I don't know if I'm saying it right. This is the comfort zone is where ideas go to die or something like that. Or is it, I'm mixing something up. But there are many quotes about the comfort zone or the difference. Someone said that the difference between where you are and what you want or something like that is just about getting out of your comfort zone. And see, it is true. Get out of your comfort zone and just talk to somebody. Sometimes it is as simple as just open your mouth and say hello to someone. You don't have to do much else, right? And I've come to appreciate this during the process of looking for schools for MBA and whatnot, and just how many people are willing to be
Help.
open and help, right? The hit rate is probably is less than 10%, like 5%. I've called or cold messaged people on LinkedIn, and small percentage have replied. But those who have, my, they've gone above and beyond. Like they it helps. But what's the difference is I went out of my way to do some of these things. Like
Yeah.
someone I know someone who sent one message on LinkedIn or
Got
to
the
somebody and didn't get a response, and it was some way. It was some.
mm-hmm.
I'm like, no, the hit rate is about hit rate, right? The fear of not succeeding puts people in their comfort zone. We talked about this when we were talking about who moved my cheese. Fear of failure, right? But it's all about how you frame the failure. Just sometimes just getting out of your comfort zone is simple. But one way to get out of your comfort zone,
What?
baby steps,
Oh yeah.
something tiny.
Lit- Yeah.
Just like the way you were saying, get up, start something. Go read something, wake up 1 hour earlier and start reading something. It starts like that. Like if you want to start learning 2 hours a day, it seems like a lot. No worries. Start at read something for 10 minutes a day. I remember early on in my career, right out of school, I read something that said just read one article a day, just one article in your field, and it seems boring. Oh, you're a nerd and no problem. See, it will get to a point where you'll be reading Wall Street Journal and laughing. You know that thing where people are someone is you enter a room, someone is watching something so nerdy and the person is laughing, or the person is
Yeah.
reading something nerdy and they are laughing. It's like Big Bang Theory kind of things.
I
But
know.
yeah, but they didn't just suddenly become nerds. You build it to this point where it becomes so simple and so enjoyable for you, but it starts with a step at a time. 5 minutes a day, 10 minutes a day, 20 minutes a day, 30 minutes a day. And it reminds me of cycling. After trying many exercises, Charlie, you know that thing when you want to start a new exercise and you buy all the gear, then you go to the gym and you just throw away 800 cedis. Or anyway, it's covered by your medical, so you don't care. If it were coming out of your own pocket, you'd have seen. Maybe times when it was coming out of my own pocket, I still didn't go to the gym. So I'm like, I need to find a right exercise. I tried. Then when I tried cycling, there were certain days that, based on the same mantra, I was like, just go. I would get up cold mornings. I would get up and go, and I'll just keep going, and now I enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
This Saturday was one of my no, Sunday was my longest ride. I rode for about 22 and a half kilometers. I rode all the way from Roman Ridge to around the Independence Square. So I went to look at the sea and things before I came back. Interesting thing is, someone I know actually saw me on my bicycle, and
Mm-hmm.
I think last week he had invited me to come over for us to chat. So I did. So it picked up that conversation again, and I went to his office, and he's like, "Oh, so this thing that you're doing, how can I help you?" And I'm
Oh.
like, if I had done that, and Charlie, I kid you not, this person is very well connected. He's very well connected. Let's just say he stays in cantonments. Anyway, and immediately it's like, okay, I'll note it down. I'll call this person. Oh, but we have this person here and there. Okay, you are call this person. Charlie, I'm not saying it will source. All right. I'm not saying it will source.
Yeah.
If it source, fine. If it doesn't work out to know yawa. But it all started with something that I did out of my comfort zone. And when I started, I was tired to have done. And then I said, this time I'm going to do the longest. Like, do you see how just keep breaking the barriers? And Charlie, the rewards, like, if I hadn't gone to meet him today and we're having this conversation, I may not have even realized how much of a blessing the timing
Yeah,
of that
was.
event
Yeah,
was.
yeah.
But that's how it is. The book talks about, I'll just digress to another point. The book talks about how you need to use your brain, right? How people should use their brain. And it says something about how when you are using your brain, when you're actually thinking through things, when you're working for experience, trying to be a master at what you do, it gets to a point where you start seeing opportunities where people won't see it. And it's something that keeps motivating itself as you keep making these little actions, and you start getting these small victories. You start seeing the benefits of doing it, and it will motivate you even further to keep going. But the thing is, it started at a point where there was no reward. Like Robert, it started at this point where someone was even threatening you that, look, I won't pay you at all. It starts from that point where you are working for free in terms of money to get that experience. And in the end, well, look at him now. We are here talking about him, right? So tell me if it worked out or it didn't work out.
Yeah.
Anyway, there ends my rant.
So I just want to give a personal example about the baby steps towards something.
Hmm.
I started like listening to hardcore finance podcasts, I think late last year. And believe you me, the things were just passing over my head. Like they are making very quick correlations between a lot of things. And I'll have to go back and re-listen and try and understand why they are saying that this thing jumped from here to there and like that. So it took me a long time. But then it was just the listen, trying to understand. And before I realized I wasn't pausing and going back as much. And then before I realized I wasn't actually even pausing and going back. And now I can feel the conversation from where they were jumping from where to where to where. And it didn't dawn on me until one day I realized that, I have actually sat through the whole thing and not gone back. So it's really cool that like baby steps. Like sometimes you'll be like, hey, this thing that I'm doing, like will I ever see top? But you will. Just keep doing it. Thank you.
I love this example you've given. I love this example you've given. And see, I'll even be shy. Pania boss, Nian Passoa, one of the best. In fact, the whole world, there are two best managers, Deborama Akoti and Nian Passoa. Yeah, they've not paid bonus yet, so let me just keep praising them. Yeah. anyway, anyway, but legit, the best ever, right? And I am a podcast junkie. Pani is also a podcast junkie. I I still haven't reached the level of enjoying some of the podcasts that he listens to. I've subscribed. I listen once a month to one or two, like The Economist. Pani can be there and soak up The Economist podcast. Money Talks. Money Talks. Who does that? I think no. That's it. The Economist Money Talks. Yeah, and he enjoys it so much. I haven't reached that level, right? So Edem reached out last time. Edem and Mimi both are in the audience in the comments and asking about my podcast, right? And usually when people ask about it, I give them the full thing. But the dailies, I love the dailies because you need to start from a point where you are enjoying it. So I strongly recommend Planet Money, The Indicator. Those ones, they are telling stories and business wars, and it's so funny. It's so nice. Before you realize, you'll be there talking about the economist that Elikem still hasn't figured out. So I hope it's the one that Jennifer has figured out and she's come to pass me. Anyway, Charlie. So we are getting towards the end of this session, right? And it's been an interesting book that we've covered. We are going back to, for us, because we've read it before, it's kind of relive some of these lessons that we've learned, have new perspectives, especially as we are older. And I saw in the audience that was it Edem mentioned that, yeah, he was also having new perspectives when reading it, right? So I look forward to touching on more of it. We'll be doing something differently this time. We're not going to read the entire book. We are going to take certain parts of the book especially as we've seen the kind of books that we are getting into soon. If we say we are going to finish, or we just have to rush through, but rather we want to take time to digest certain points. So today we took lesson one. Next week we'll take another lesson, and then we'll move on to another book, and then we can circle back to Rich Dad Poor Dad. So if you are following us, hey, feel free to read the books. At least we'll be doing it in bite chunks this time. Safe to say you can look at lesson two, right? And let's see, what does lesson two say? Lesson two says why teach financial literacy. So definitely looking forward to do that. That's what we do here at Money Convos, right? On Mondays at 7 p.m. or here on YouTube, and on Thursdays for now on Clubhouse. But we are thinking of Twitter Spaces. We have to go where people are, where we can reach enough people. But of course, not ignoring the Clubhouse family just yet. We have an interesting session coming up for our planned launch for Twitter Spaces. We haven't yet figured out when, but we are looking at on the topic of financial literacy. We've been running for about a year now. We would like to take some testimonials from people, and people share their experience on financial literacy. So stay tuned on that. Follow us on social media, especially on Twitter, so that you'll be notified of that session. We have another conversation coming up on Thursday on Clubhouse too. So follow us, Instagram, Facebook, everywhere, so that you make sure that you are in on it. And catch you on 7 p.m. on Thursday. Jenny, any last lessons you want to remind people of from this book before we close out?
I just want to say that the difference between where you are and where you want to get to is your emotions and how you manage them. So learn to apply logic to all emotions you are feeling, so that at the end of the day, the emotion wouldn't have passed, and then you still be feeling the consequences of the actions. Yeah, it is summed up in the chapter one there somewhere. Thank you.
Here. So much to be. Okay, so I wish you all a good week. It's Monday, so I wish you all a good week. I like the interaction that has gone on in the comments today. A new viewer, a colleague at work, Daniel Omani, very interesting perspective he had on the point about people who have now made their money work for them, the kind of interest that they've made. And it says it's really about the consistency. So shout out to Edem, Mimi, Danielle, and Daniel, for watching and interacting with us. And I hope to catch you at the next session. Goodbye and take care.
Do you want to be wealthy? Do you want to be in Thank you for taking the time to listen to our thoughts. I hope you learned a thing or two and start practicing. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Clubhouse, and Facebook. And subscribe to our YouTube and podcast. Do tell a friend about Money Convos so we all become wealthy together. Talk to you soon. Bye.